Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levy, your co-host, Shaq. We're going to be talking UFC Vegas 11 because Colby Covington is taking on Tyron Woodley. And Shaq, it's going down this Saturday night in Las Vegas, Nevada. The grudge match, the former champion, Tyron Woodley, taking on the former interim champion, Colby Chaos Covington. And I have a feeling it's going to be a very intense match.
Yeah, man. I mean, both guys coming off losses to the champ. Colby had one of the best fights, if not the best fight of that year with Kamaru Usman, a great back and forth fight that happened to get stopped in the 5th round. And then Woodley, I mean, he's desperate, man. These last 2 fights, I mean, let's just be honest here. He's 0 for 10 on rounds. I mean, with a couple 10-8s in there. So, he needs a win bad, or he might be having to look to go in some other avenues, man. But it's going to be a great fight. Woodley's an all-time great at 170. And Covington, man, although, some would say he's an idiot and he says a lot of dumb shit, man, me and you both know the real version of this guy. And we know that's not the case. He's a really good guy, a good fighter. And, man, I'm excited to see him, have his comeback fight.
And Shaq, I mean, when you talk about going 0-10 for rounds, it's not like he got edged out and the rounds could have gone either way. No, he got beat down pillar to post. He got shut down. He got dominated thoroughly in a way where people are thinking that he might not ever be the same. And this might be what a washed up fighter looks like, because you remember when he was champion and, he defended the belt a bunch of times. He's doing these interviews talking about how he bought 8 cars. He bought all the mansions. He's doing the rap albums. He's, doing the TMZ. And then he goes out there, and I don't like to use the term that, someone took someone's soul, but Shaq, Kamaru Usman took Tyron Woodley's soul. And if you need any evidence, watch that Gilbert Durinho fight. Because going into the fight, it was like, oh, this is a non-top 10 guy. This is a former lightweight, the whole bit. No way Tyron loses to him. And not only did Tyron lose to him, Shaq, Tyron gets dropped in the first 30 seconds, gets thoroughly dominated. And his head coach, Dean Thomas, said the following words. This is not my words. This is not your words. Dean Thomas said, Tyron Woodley doesn't have that dog in him anymore. He said that, look, one day you're 25 and you want to rip everyone's throat out. The next day you wake up, you're 40 and you just don't want to do this shit anymore. So it's going to take a serious effort for Woodley to get this done Saturday night, Shaq.
Yeah, I mean, Tyron's always been, I know he was the champ, but like, and y'all have heard me go off on Tyron a few times. I mean, look, there's no secret. I've had my, I haven't been the biggest fan of the guy, and this is for a long time. But I mean, let's just not forget. I mean, he's put on some of the more boring title fights, and I mean, I know you remember that Damian Maia fight. I mean, that was. I mean, I fell asleep during that fight, man. Legit.
Literally. I had to wake Shaq up.
Like, I literally passed out. And let's not forget, was it the first Wonder Boy fight?
The second one.
The second one, my bad. But, yeah, so, like, this guy, I mean, look, he's done this, but at the same time, he also, we know he's known for his one-punch KOs. But, I mean, there's been a lot, even when he was champ, I've always, like, the Till fight, up until the finish, I mean, it was like not much is really happening, like did Till even land a strike? I mean, like, exactly. So I was saying into the Burns fight, I was like, man, there's a chance that this guy's been inflated for a very long time. And, but, we weren't sure because Gilbert, Damian Maia, the ghost of Damian Maia. But, I mean, hey, at least like him, Covington, and Usman, I mean, they're out here hurting Damian Maia. Not saying that Woodley didn't hurt him, but, I mean, like I said, I fell asleep. I was like, wow, all this talking, this is what he does,
We were like, Shaq, wake up. We're checking for pulse. You know what I'm saying? But real quick, we got to do some quick housekeeping. So as you can see, I'm in my car doing this shit. Fuck AT&T, not ATT, the gym, AT&T, the internet provider, because like the slightest bit of rain knocks out my internet. So I'm completely done with them. But we're here to put on a show for the fans. So if for any reason the connection gets, slow, it's because I'm in a goddamn hotel parking lot doing this for y'all. And we're gonna take a little bit of a different format because we do have some time constraints. So Shaq, let's go ahead and start with the main card right now. So we got a matchup in the middleweight division between Kevin Holland, he's 18-5, and Darren Stewart is 12-5. Currently, they got Kevin Holland minus 265. The comeback on Darren Stewart is plus 225. So, man, I feel like, Kevin Holland's extremely talented. He's got all the physical tools. And I feel like, he might have needed to get humbled a little bit like he did in that Brendan Allen fight, because now the performances we're seeing from him, I mean, you and I knew he had all the talent in the world. I mean, back in the regional scene, he knocked out Jeff Neal, and we've seen glimpses here and there. But, it can be hard to get up for a John Phillips fight when you got knockout wins over Jeff Neal. It can be hard to get up for an Alessio Di Chirico fight. But after that Brendan Allen fight, I feel like that woke him up, man. And now he's out there. He ran through Fluffy Hernandez like it was nothing. And in that last fight against Joaquin Buckley, I was very impressed. And I'll tell you why, Shaq, because, we can sit here, call the guy a newcomer and say all these things, but like the bottom line is Joaquin Buckley was going out there throwing heavy strikes. He threw like 200 strikes to the head, and I think he only landed like 1 or 2 of them. So that speaks volumes to the kind of defense, the kind of composure, the kind of experience that Kevin Holland has. He knows how to use his reach. He's got a 7-inch reach advantage in the spot. And look, Darren Stewart, you got to give him a lot of respect. He hits very, very hard for the weight class. He's also experienced. And I got to say that I think he might come out here with like a kind of a calf kick game plan. They're probably thinking, hey, let's chop down the tree. This guy's a lot taller. He's got the reach advantage. I think he's going to come out here, try to kick the calves. But I think somewhere along the way, Kevin's going to time something down the pipe, maybe rock him, make him shoot for a bad shot, maybe choke him out. But bottom line, I'm going Kevin Holland to get it done here Saturday night, Shaq.
Yeah, Stewart, he's a tough guy. His grappling, I feel like Holland's got a big, significant edge in the grappling in this fight. I know he's coming off his first submission win, but that was against a guy who, just makes big mental lapses in his fights. And to be honest, I'm not saying that Stewart was losing or anything, but I thought Mikey Patolo was looking good out at range, out in space against him for the first couple minutes. But, he was able to get that submission. Mackie panicked. Never really been too particularly high on Stewart. I think he's got a good elbow out of the clinch. Always been high on Holland. He definitely let me down against Brendan. But, hey, man, look what Brendan's been doing. He's been doing his thing. He's fighting Ian Heinisch, So I think that, yeah, he probably did get humbled that night. And the more improvements I've been seeing in these last 2 fights is just the more viciousness, more sense of urgency, especially in the striking. Because what I didn't like with Kevin is, man, I felt like, let's, for example, that Will Santiago fight. It's like, man, you can't finish this guy. Like, why are you out here running away from this dude, Kevin? Like, you're supposed to be out here, and the Di Chirico fight as well. But now these last 2 fights, I'm seeing a guy that's standing in the pocket. He's really sitting down on his punches, his knees, his elbows, and he's starting to get these finishes, on the feet, So, yeah, I got Kevin Holland. I just think he's better in every aspect. And as long as he takes everything seriously, I believe he'll get the job done.
Now, next up in the strawweight division, we got a matchup between Mackenzie, legit Brazilian accent Dern. She's 8-1, and Randa Quiet Storm Marcos is 10-8. Currently, they got Mackenzie Dern minus 165. The comeback on Randa Marcos is plus 145. So this is an interesting fight for a lot of reasons, because I feel like you could be sweating a chalk bet on Mackenzie if Randa doesn't shoot on her and Randa kind of keeps this standing and maybe uses some of her boxing. It could get interesting. The thing is, man, that Mackenzie, even though it doesn't look the prettiest when she strikes, she actually does have some legit power for that weight class. You know what I mean? We've seen her drop girls more than once. And then on the mat, it might only take 1 submission attempt for the fight to be over shortly after. But I guess my question for you is, do you think Randa Marcos could be a live underdog if she comes out here just trying to throw hands, not trying to get into any grappling exchanges?
Yeah, man, this is an interesting fight to me too, because, initially I was like, it's probably a, an easy win for Dern. Haven't Marcos, I feel like she's plateaued out, and but man, historically speaking, Marcos is due for a win. So like, she is the underdog. And then when I really sat down and watched the tape on Mackenzie, man, it's kind of like a torn thing, because I have heard in the past that, she doesn't go to the gym, and like how, she will be out tanning all day at the beach and shit like that. And, that's probably the reasons for a lot of her weight problems, just due to not training. Like legit people have said, like, Mackenzie at the gym, like, yeah, right. Like, like Mackenzie don't show up to the gym. But now, I see she actually on her IG, she was like, "This is the most I've ever trained for a fight." She's with Perillo and Marlon Vera and all those dudes now at that gym. So she's got Perillo, who's I've always said one of the best coaches of all time, underrated coaches of all time. And let's see the improvements, because like you said, she's got the power. She just needs some technique, and that's the reason why I was a little hesitant. It's like I feel like she's kind of all over the place. Like, I feel like she really struggles to put things together. They both have a split win over Ashley Yoder. But the reason why I kind of favor Dern is just because, like, I kind of felt like I picked Marcos to beat Yoder, but I thought, at this stage of her career, and no offense to Ashley Yoder, but I just figured like she kind of beat her by more of a margin. When you look at that stage of her career, she had wins over Angela Hill, finish wins. She fought some of the best girls out there, Gadelia, Carolina, Carla, wins over Carla, Tisha Torres, like, she's capable, like, she has done a lot, finishes over Felice Herrig, like, she has done a lot, but it's just this consistent inconsistency with Marcos, so I'm just like, I don't want nothing to do with her. She's 35 years old, and that fight with Yoder, I just felt like she got bailed out because Ashley Yoder is just, I don't want to say not tough enough, but just, I just feel like when the going gets tough and it's 1-1, Ashley Yoder is gonna lose. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think Dern should win this fight. I feel like she's the younger girl by almost 10 years, if I'm not mistaken. Not 10 years, but almost. But then, just the fact that I think that she's going to make significant improvements. And I feel like up until this point, Dern's kind of been half-assing shit, man. I feel like she really hasn't been training like that. Like, I've heard like this chick doesn't show it. There's only been 2 people to get kicked out of the MMA lab. It's her and Chris Gritzmacher. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think let's see if she's improved this fight. I'm a guess that she has, and I just haven't seen much improvement from Randa. But at the same time, I would not be shocked because that Hannah Cyphers fight, although she got that leg lock, up until that leg lock scramble, I was like, oh, this is kind of ugly, man. And the Rebus fight, she got absolutely dominated from start to finish. So. And Amanda Bobby Cooper, she ain't. I saw her husband fight on Contender Series the other day. He didn't do too well either. So, I got Dern, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's a close fight.
Listen, as far as Dern, addressing some weaknesses, she's working with Jason Perillo, and you obviously know he's responsible for UFC champions like BJ Penn, like Michael Bisping. Even my boy Marlon Chito Vera wanted to improve his boxing, and that's the guy he hired. So she's with the right people. And like I said, she's always had natural power. Now it's just about the technique. So I think she's going to get that in order. I think we might see some improvements. But again, I agree with you. This fight could be sketchy at times. It's just that somewhere in those 15 minutes, there's going to be some kind of grappling exchange. And when that happens, I think that's when Dern's going to get the submission.
Not to mention Ashley Yoder took Randa's back like 2 or 3 times. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, Courtney Casey submitted her in the first round, so I can see it happening for sure. But if Marcos comes out with the right game plan, there is a path to victory. It's just, can you trust her to do that? Not convinced. So I'm going with Dern via submission. Now, next up in the light heavyweight division, we got a showdown between Johnny Walker, he's 17-5, and Ryan Spann is 18-5. Currently, they got Johnny Walker minus 125. The comeback on Ryan Spann is plus 105. Well, Shaq, I'm just going to be straight up. I'm not going to sit here and make excuses or bullshit. I'm just going to be straight up. I was dead wrong about Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker is not the guy I thought he was. When I saw those spectacular finishes, I thought, hey, maybe this guy could challenge the great John Jones, but turns out, nope, he can't. It turns out that when fights get extended, you see the real deal, and it's like, or you see what he really is, and it's like, I know we're about to talk about how Ryan Spann's chinny and stuff like that, and Corey Anderson's chinny too. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't finish the most chinny guy in the entire division. Now, I get it. He was partying. He was bringing girls up to the room. He was kicking his coaches out. He was doing the whole bit. It seems like he's a little bit more focused now. So hopefully he's been getting better too. But I just got so many concerns if this fight gets extended and he can't get Ryan out early. So now I know I'm about to talk about how Ryan's chinny, but officially Johnny Walker has more KO losses than Ryan Spann. But I will say this. In some of Ryan's wins, there were a lot of sketchy moments, like the Alex Nicholson fight. Officially, if you just look at the record, it says first round TKO. You watch that fight. He was on death's doorstep. He almost got knocked out. The last fight against Sam Alvey, I mean, he was the biggest favorite on the card. You're expecting a first round submission. He almost got that first round sub. Remember that standing arm triangle, but then he starts to slow down. He almost got knocked out there too. So pretty sketchy stuff, but I think Ryan is the overall better fighter. It's just, is he going to get caught here with a flying knee, Shaq?
Oh, you're making a pick? You're not. Yeah. Look, this is an interesting fight. I got this as a 50-50 fight. You know, I feel like, man, Spann has come a long way. I mean, look, a few years ago, if you would have told me Spann would have been in this position that he's in right now, I would have told you that you're fucking crazy. I mean, Spann, we've been seeing him on Access TV for a very, very long time. And, you know, we've seen him go through his ups and downs, his 185 days. And, you know, his last fight, man, yes, it was not good. We all expected him to run through Alvey. But, man, sometimes in those type of fights, it's kind of hard because it's like you're risking so much. Like, you done knocked out Nogueira. You done finished Devin Clark. You know, you're at the height. Now you got to take a risky fight against a guy whose back's against the wall. And, yeah, it wasn't his best before. I mean, look, during that fight, I was screaming. I was like, Ryan, you like, bro, chill. Like, you know what I'm saying? like you're literally – I mean, how many, like, look, if you type in Sam Alvey's name, I mean, all we're going to see is a bunch of right hook knockouts, you know what I'm saying? And he was literally walking into his right hook like, you know, it was no threat at all. So if I'm not mistaken, that might have been the first pay-per-view. Was it on the same night Gaethje and fought Ferguson? Yeah, so, like, I know it was very short notice, no preparation, really. He was supposed to be fighting Paul Craig before that. You know, that fell through. I'm going to attribute it to just lack of preparation, and I'm going to guess that he probably didn't take Alvey seriously at all. And I think he won the first 2 rounds pretty easily, but I just feel like he had a lot to lose that night, and sometimes it's tough when you're fighting with a lot to lose. Now, Walker, on the other hand, man, yeah, you know, dead wrong about him 100%. You know, the fact that he got knocked out against, it would have been one thing if he would have got grinded and, you know, lost a decision, you know, got taken down. But it's like, damn, bro, you got knocked out against Corey, like, like on the feet, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you ever seen Corey Anderson finish anything with hands besides Van Buren back in the day? You know, like, who else did he knock out? You know, that was the last possible way I would have seen Johnny Walker losing that fight. You know, I was like, damn, bro, you let Corey knock you out. And then the Krylov fight, I actually thought he made well, that was more, I got to see him more in a 15-minute process. So, you know, we got to see more of his game. And there were some good moments, man. He, you know, it's just that, man, his grappling is kind of shaky. You know, when Krylov got on top of him, he kind of didn't have an answer. And we can't forget that Spann's a black belt. He's actually very, very underrated in the submission. I think he's got maybe double-digit submission wins. You know, like, he's got a very good ground game. And I honestly favor Ryan, man. I feel like as long as he doesn't get caught, he's the better overall fighter. Obviously, am I confident that he's not going to get caught? But the reason why I got to lean Ryan, man, I just don't like what I've been seeing from Johnny Walker, hearing from him. I don't like all these camp switches. You know, at first, like, you know, with this Corey Anderson fight where, you know, he's kicking his team out, bringing girls, whatever, to the room. Okay, he got a little too Hollywood, but then you blame your team, you leave your team, then you go to TriStar. You know, TriStar is supposed to be doing this and that for you. Oh, it's a good move for you. You lose one fight, then you leave there. You know, how about you know, be a man and go back to your home team in Brazil, the team that got you to this point, the team that was getting you those spectacular flying knee knockouts against Meerschaert. You know, the people that bought you up, and instead you go to fucking John Kavanagh. Like, I was like, yo, this kid is fucking lost. Like, and now you're still rocking the blue mohawk and shit. Like, be the old Johnny Walker. Like, this kid needs to get humbled. We'll see. I think it is somewhat of a slight step down, but Spann's huge, man. I feel like he's capable of a lot. But like Kavanagh, no offense to Kavanagh, Conor McGregor had some good fight, but other than Conor McGregor, like, what's my boy Kavanagh been doing lately, Dan?
He's a best-selling author.
Bro, me and you both know Kavanaugh, bro, and like we know that like I feel bad for Johnny because he's misguided, but like, if he thinks Kavanaugh gives a shit about him, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna go with Spann, man. But I actually think it's gonna maybe go 3 rounds. I think they're gonna grapple a lot. I think there's gonna be some hairy moments in the feet for Spann because Walker, look, there's no denying the athleticism, and I do think he's more dynamic on the feet. But Spann still got power, and Johnny Walker's chin is shaky, man. Like I just feel like Spann has a shaky chin. Like that's all I feel like. I feel like Spann gets a little carried away on the striking sometimes, and he's prone to take big shots. That's where I feel like Johnny Walker's grappling shaky, his chin shaky, his heart shaky a little bit right now. He's switching all these camps. So I'm gonna go with Spann, man. I think he'll come in with a good game plan, and get the job done and utilize his grappling advantage.
Yeah, look, man, this is a situation where I can't disagree with anything you said. You know what I mean? When you talk about Ryan Spann, he's good everywhere the fight goes. He's got a world-class guillotine. He's experienced. He's been there. He's done that. Trains at a good camp in Fortis MMA. So I completely understand taking the underdog shot on Ryan Spann. And it's just that it's one of those things where it's like, I saw something in Walker at the beginning, and I know I was wrong about him being a future top 5 guy. But like I feel like he's got what it takes to knock out Spann. Now I do not recommend laying the chalk on him because he's let us down more than once, you know what I mean? And he might do it again. I do like what I heard from him on Fight Week. On one hand, I don't like that he's training with John Kavanagh, but on the other hand, he seems like he's focused. He's taking it more seriously, so I like that. I think he catches Spann at some point, but again, not a confident pick just based on the fact that he's not the guy I thought he once was. But I think he's got the talent and the physical tools, so I hope he gets it done. I'm rooting for him. I'm going to pick him, but we'll see. We'll see what happens Saturday night. Now, next up in the middleweight division, we got a showdown between Khamzat Chimaev, he's 8-0, and Gerald Meerschaert is 31-13. Currently, they got Khamzat Chimaev minus 390. The comeback on Gerald Meerschaert's plus 320. So Shaq, it opened minus 500 for Khamzat Chimaev, and now, a lot of action has been coming on GM3. People are saying GM3 is getting disrespected here. Now, look, I like GM3, had him on the show before he was even in the UFC. We've been following him a long time, and, he follows me on Twitter. I like the guy. I'm friends with his teammates, the whole bit. And he actually has a reputation for ending hype trains. You remember on the regional scene when he beat Sidney Wheeler. You remember on the in the UFC when Oscar Bijota was the undefeated prospect, and Gerald didn't just derail that hype train. Gerald beat the shit out of him, and the kid's never been the same since. And then also the Duran win fight. A lot of people thought, Duran was this 4-0 guy. He beat Tom Lawler at 205. Little DC, all this bullshit. Goes into the UFC, gets the fight of the night with Spicely. A lot of people thought he might have beat Darren Stewart. I didn't, but a lot of people thought he might have beat Darren Stewart. Then when he fought Gerald Meerschaert, there was no he beat Gerald Meerschaert. He got finished. The hype train ended. So GM3's got a reputation for ending hype trains. The issue I have here, Shaq, is that it's more of a technical thing than it is an experience thing for me, because it's like Gerald Meerschaert doesn't really stuff takedowns. He's so confident in his jiu-jitsu ability that he's going to give up these easy takedowns. And Khamzat Chimaev doesn't really strike me as a guy that leaves too many openings. He's got that Khabib style where he'll take you down, he'll tie your arm behind your back, he'll pound you out. So I actually think he's a rightful favorite here. Now let's talk about his 2 matchups he's had in the UFC. Because I know, yes, they were handpicked opponents. You're right. 1-4, John Phillips. Rice McKee went to a draw with Richie Smolin. I get it. But, Shaq, it's not like, Khamzat Chimaev barely got through those guys. It's not like he edged a split. He fucking ran through those guys and handled them accordingly. So that, to me, shows he deserves the step up in competition. And as much as I respect Meerschaert, I even think after all these fights, his hands have been getting better. He's got that hard body kick. He's opportunistic on the mat. Just stylistically, this is a tough matchup for him. I think the UFC matchmakers know what they're doing, and I think Khamzat Chimaev comes out victorious on Saturday night.
Yeah, another interesting fight, man, because Chimaev, I mean, we kind of have known about, we didn't know the name, but we know that we were aware that there was a guy that made Sidney Wheeler retire, back in Brave, and turns out it was Chimaev, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like obviously Meerschaert's way more experienced, and man, sometimes these hype trains lately, man, whether it be Macy Barber or O'Malley or
Agapova.
You know, like a lot of big favorites, hype trains have been going down just because, you know, we've kind of been jumping the gun and we've just been anointing them as the next big thing when they, you know, in hindsight, really haven't done shit. And I feel like this is another case. Now, I'm not saying GM3 is gonna win this fight, but from a betting perspective, I still think Chimaev's gonna smash his face in. Like, don't get me wrong. But it's just like from a betting perspective, I kind of have to, even though the lines come down like a lot, it's just like, you know, I can't play him at that line. I haven't seen enough of his stand up yet. And, you know, this is at 185. And, you know, Chimaev's in red line mode right now. I mean, I know him and GM3, they got into it in the hotel earlier this week, and you know, I heard there was a gang of Russian men surrounding GM3 in his corner, man, and you know, GM3 got awfully quiet. I heard, but you know, but we'll see, man. The kid still hasn't fought anyone on GM3's level. GM3, like you said, gives up takedowns, like it plays the sub game, but you know, you don't want a case where Kamzat comes out here and, you know, dumps his entire energy load in the first round, trying to smash him, get him out of there, using too much energy, and then for the second round, you know, has nothing left. Just because this is at 185, I feel like he's more of a natural 170er, and you know, the experience. But I think the kid's ground and pound shots are very technical, and I feel like if he can get Meerschaert down, those short, sharp his ground and pound kind of reminds me of like Peter Yan's, Khabib, you know, Islam Makhachev, you know, that type of style where they just short shots, efficient shots, and you know, just smashing you. So you know, Meerschaert, he's got the experience, and I still want to see Kamzat Shinja, just because look, Rice McKee, look, I can name 100 guys that could go out there and do that to Rice McKee, and look, Charles Byrd did that to John Phillips as well. So you know, John Phillips ain't known for his only one win is against some bum from Macedonia, you know what I'm saying? So like, I gotta go with Chimaev. I just think he's younger, fresher. I haven't really been high on GM3 too much, but you know, would it shock me? Yeah, I mean, you know, I just feel like I can't play him yet. Let him after this fight, you know, let him smash GM3, then we can talk about Damian Maia.
Now, next up in the welterweight division, we got the co-main event of the evening. We got Donald Cowboy Cerrone. He's 36-15, and Nico the Hybrid Price is 14-4. Currently, they got Nico Price minus 150 to come back on Donald Cerrone's plus 130. I guess there's 3 words to describe Nico Price: opportunistic, dangerous, and I mean, listen, this is a guy that he can end a fight at any point. I said 3 words. Those were 2 words, but you guys get the deal. But listen, Nico Price is a scary individual. You know what I mean? It's like he consistently knocks out guys that he's better than, that are better than him. Like, I think Randy Brown is better than Nico Price. I think Tim Means, you know, technically speaking, is better than Nico Price. I think even Vic has better technical skills than Nico Price. But it doesn't matter sometimes with Nico Price. He can end a fight at any point. Now, I thought Cowboy's last fight was a step in the right direction considering his skid. You know, I thought that he looked good. I thought that he arguably won the fight. You know, I watched it live and I thought, you know, I thought Pettis might have won live. But when I rewatched it the other day, I kind of thought that Cerrone might have won that fight, man. So yeah, it was pretty good. But listen, Nico Price, extremely dangerous, coming off a great fight with Vicente Luque. And if you compare that fight to the first time he fought him, I mean, day and night difference, because the first time he just got blown out the water. The second time, now there are some myths surrounding this second Luque fight that we got to address, Shaq. And that first, that myth is that, you know, people are saying that Nico Price was up or that Nico Price was going to win that fight if it went to decision, which is total bullshit, Shaq. I mean, how can you win rounds when you get dropped or wobbled every single round? So I think that Luque was on his way to actually win a 30-26. But that doesn't take away from the fact that Nico Price had the best volume he's had his entire career and actually looked pretty damn good in that fight. Still took a lot of damage. But anyways, man, what do you think here? You think Cowboy can get back on track? Because historically speaking, he doesn't lose to non-top 15 guys, but he's also at that point in his career where he might.
Yeah, you know, so Cowboy, you know, three L's in a row, 4. three, four L's in a row. Definitely think Father Time has caught up to him. But hey, this is, I guess, in terms of uh, caliber fighter, Price has never touched a belt. Never been in the rankings, I don't believe. So, but like you said, man, we know Price is a gamer. Price is a brawler. Price, has this weird way of, pulling off these crazy fucking things, man. He's just a gamer. So I actually think Cerrone's better than Price, like straight up everywhere. like more technical, better wrestling, better jujitsu. It's just, man, Donald, man, I love the guy, but firstly, I actually thought he straight up lost to Pettis. Live, I thought I had a chance. I bet on Cerrone, but when I rewatched it, I definitely felt like Pettis got the better of the boxing exchanges, and I didn't like what I was seeing offensively in the boxing. The kicks, he landed a good eye kick, but the boxing, man, he was kind of overextending, and he'd get caught. And I feel like, man, nowadays, like, I know he used to get hurt a lot back in the day, but like now when he gets hit, man, he swells up very easily. Eyes get shut, and noses bleed very easily these days at his age, and I just feel like the reason why it might be viewed as a step in the right direction is because on the opposite side, you got Love Handles Anthony Pettis on there, So like it was two, washed up versions of themselves. It was a great fight. Two washed up versions of themselves. And the two old men, they had a good knock, man. And I feel like, man, if he's losing and no offense to legend of the sport, Pettis. And look, when I say these things, I'm joking half the time. But like, I truly believe that Anthony Pettis is neither top 15 at lightweight or 170. So, I think that Donald Cerrone's best days are behind him. But on the flip side with Price, man, I've always felt like Nico's honestly not that good. But in this last fight with Vicente, I actually thought like his feints got a little better. His in the pocket boxing got a little better. And I feel like, man, Cerrone's always struggled with like when guys bum rush him with that power. And I feel like, man, Nico's power is probably going to be a little bit too much for him. But Nico does worry me with the damage that he's been taking. I mean, he takes a lot of damage, man. And at some point, and I have seen it kind of affect him because in some of these fights, like, look, the Vic fight, I know we know what happened. He ended up knocking him out, but before that, man, it was really sloppy and ugly and slow, and but I think he made some improvements. But even in the do you remember that George Sullivan fight back in the day? I mean, he's had his moments where it's like, Nico, like, what I'm saying, like, this is ugly, man. So I feel like Cerrone could have some success if he's able to just avoid fading when he gets hit, because when Nico charges forward with that rush, like how he did Jeff Neal and these other guys, man, that I have a hard time believing that Cerrone's going to be able to withstand something like that. But it's a good fight. I gotta go with Price. I just feel like he's hungry. Not saying that Cerrone's not hungry, but man, 4 L's at this age. And the Pettis fight, man, I wouldn't consider that a step in the right direction, man. I feel like he took more damage again against a lesser motivated guy coming off the couch. I mean, from what I was hearing going into that fight, Pettis wasn't even really training. So, I got to go with Nico Price, and I'll say by tough decision. I feel like Nico's good, but he is top 25, 30 welterweight. So I guess Cerrone, on paper, this might be a good fight for him, but we'll see.
Listen, man, I mean, I could sit here and agree with you. I think you made some very valid points. If you want to make the case for Nico Price, Shaq just made it. But I'm going to make the case for Cerrone. Listen, Nico Price is a guy that I like to take at dog odds. He's not a guy I like to bet chalk on because he's known for kind of his comeback finishes. And look, I mean, don't get me wrong. He knocked out, Juban in the first round. And by the way, speaking of Juban, wait till y'all hear who he's fighting next. Very exciting news coming soon. But back to Nico Price. He's so opportunistic. He can end a fight at any point. But I do feel like Cerrone is the better overall fighter, and the better overall fighter is the underdog here. Now, again, he's at that point in his career where it might not even matter that he's the better overall fighter. It might just take one shot on the chin. He might go down. I completely understand. It's just, this is not to discredit Nico because he's great, but this is a step down in competition compared to Gaethje, to Ferguson, to these guys that he's been fighting. So I do feel like I saw some things I liked in that last fight. I agree with you. He did take some shots I didn't like, but I like the takedowns he showed. I like that high kick in the third round. And I feel like actually Nico took more damage versus Luque, and I feel like Nico could have taken more time off. So again, Nico's the guy I like to back at dog odds, not at slight chalk. So I'm going to make the case for Cerrone here. I say he drops him with a high kick and chokes him out in the second round. So I'm going to go with Donald Cerrone to get this upset. Main event of the evening in the welterweight division, we got Colby Chaos Covington. He's 15-2, and Tyron, the chosen one, Woodley, is 19-5. Now, Shaq, is it the chosen one or is it the frozen one? You know what I mean, man? I think it's the frozen one now, but currently they got Colby Covington minus 345. The comeback on Tyron Woodley's plus 285. Listen, one thing that T Woods got going for him is that, you know, the overhand right's always been a good weapon against the southpaw, but I got to say that it looked a lot slower in that Gilbert Durinho fight. You think that he can, you know, turn back the clock and get another knockout here, or is he about to get drained and broken?
Yeah, you know, look, I've always been a fan of the Covington fighting style since he got in, man, to be honest. Like, I remember when this dude was fighting Mike Pyle, I think he was like, 6-0, 5-0 at the time or some shit like that. And he was able to get the win there against a very experienced guy. And he ended up making it to the Dos Anjos fight, winning the interim belt, had a good fight with dominated Robbie Lawler, you know, and then Kamaru Usman, great fight. So, yeah, Woodley, man, as far as how they match up, you know, yeah, Woodley's bigger, he's got the right hand, he's more powerful, but man, that's it. That's all he's got is a right hand. That's it. Like, all Covington's gotta do is avoid that, you know, far in between right hand, you know, and even if Tyron Woodley was trying to, you know, switch it up and wrestle, or even if he was trying to throw more volume, his body frame, that muscular frame, you know, it ain't gonna work out. I think he's doomed, man. I really do. Like, I think this guy's been, you know, in hindsight, on his way out for a very long time, even before the Till fight. Ever since he came back from that surgery, that Damian Maia fight was complete shit. The Till fight in the first round was complete shit. Look, Till didn't want to fight. Like, Till didn't want to be there. You know, he's cutting too much weight, and he's coming off he shouldn't even got a fucking title shot. He missed weight against Wonderboy. The fight was questionable in itself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Till wasn't ready. And then we go into the Kamaru Usmans, the young, hungry contenders, and Gilbert Burns, you know, who was coming off a win over Kunchenko, Alexei Kunchenko, and Damian Maia, you know what I'm saying? Gunnar Nelson. Like, that was the competition my boy Gilbert was fighting. And they come out here and wipe you out like 50-44s back to back, bro. Like, you know, I feel like Willie's completely done. And this is a stemming from his overinflated ego of himself, man. Like, you know, when he was champ, he had this, you know, he's walking around like he's the big fucking man on the block and all this shit, like fucking buying 7 cars, and, you know, not to mention the other shit that me and you know about, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, you know, this guy literally lost it to a point, and I don't think a lot of people realize it, man. And then, you know, even so, going into the Gilbert Burns fight, just look at his interviews. I just went back and looked at him, and I'm not gonna say it's as bad now going into this Covington fight, but he's saying, like, what type of championship level, one of the greats of all 170 say shit like, well, if I beat Gilbert Burns, it doesn't mean nothing, bro. The way you just got your ass whipped against Kamaru Usman 50-44, it honestly could have been 50-43 if we're being honest. Like, the way you just got your ass whipped, bro, you need to shut the fuck up and just get a win. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then he's saying shit like, if Gilbert Burns beats me, no one knows who he is, like shit like that, where it doesn't matter, man. And he's saying, Leon Edwards, he's only got 3,000 followers, which, might be true, but like, who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a joke to me. I feel like he's thinking a lot. And I remember the days where he was saying Colby Covington couldn't even, hold his jock strap and shit like that. Well, I feel like Tyron Woodley's about to go through the 3 worst fights of his nightmare. Kamaru Usman already happened. Gilbert Burns already happened. And he got 50-44 bad in those fights. And now he's fighting his old nemesis, Covington. And Covington, look, I'm going to go ahead and say it. As long as Covington does not go down, he will win this fight, guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? He works way too much. He has way more of a drive in that cage. And look at, even if it win or lose, he's just got more consistent performances, man, even in his losses, like against Usman. But in his wins, man, he puts on a work rate where Damian Maia can't even stand up. Rafael Dos Anjos, his ears bleeding 2 minutes in. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's got way more consistent performances. When he's in there, he wants them more. And this new camp change, man, I actually think it's going to be a good thing for him because, like these past few years, man, he's kind of had to always have his eye over his back in the gym. I mean, I've heard stories where Amari Akhmedov and the Russians are literally like, cornering this dude in the back and shit. Like, who wants to train in environments like that? You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn, so I mean, look, he asked for it himself, but so I don't feel bad for him. But like, now that he's at this new gym, and from what I see, man, these dudes are really happy that he's there. The MMA Masters Instagram account, man, they're posting about Covington all day. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like he's got. I mean, those coaches. They gave Ricardo Lamas a very good career. They gave Miguel Baez is fighting on the undercard. He's undefeated, knocked out Matt Brown at 8-0. The Chavez kid, he just won his UFC debut. So, I feel like that's a good gym for him. I bet you he's getting a lot more individualized. And I feel like now he can really work on that stand-up because I feel like he's got underrated stand-up. Daniel, I've always said that he's got underrated stand-up. And, yeah, he hasn't knocked shit out. I agree. But man, I've always felt like there's been something off in his stand-up with his footing. And I feel like, man, if he can, and I don't really think he's been worked. Like, I feel like, his initial striking coach was George's striking coach, Paulino, George Masvidal. And, I feel like, man, they really never I'm sure they taught him some stuff, but I always feel like Covington, it was kind of like they really didn't need to teach him like too much, because it's pretty much go grab the single, buddy, and we're gonna be good. But now I feel like, man, he might actually learn some real stand-up and start sitting down on some punches. And with Woodley's back on the fence, I wouldn't be shocked if he set a significant strike record on Tyrant on Saturday night, man. So I'm going to go with Colby Covington by absolute domination. I feel like Woodley's best days are behind him. I feel like as long as Covington doesn't go down, this is his fight. And I feel like he's got a very good chin, underrated defense, underrated boxing. Woodley's saying all this shit where, he's a cardio kickboxer, which is cute and funny and all. But like, bro, you go ahead and underestimate his power, Woodley, and get hit and see what happens with the way you've been looking. So I wouldn't be shocked if Covington stopped him. So I'm going to go with Covington. I'm going to just say by ass whooping.
If Colby Covington is a cardio kickboxer, what does that make Tyron Woodley? You know what I mean? Like, Tyron Woodley's scared to throw a punch these days. So, I heard that he averaged, 0.5 strikes per minute his last 2 fights combined. So, and listen, the bottom line here, Shaq, is that Tyron Woodley's fighting for the wrong reasons. Like we already talked about at the beginning of the show. When he was champ, he didn't invest his money. He thought he was going to retire champ. He's out here buying 7 cars, the mansions. He was doing the whole bit. He got caught up in the lifestyle. And now that he blew all his money and, the other stuff that you alluded to, now he's fighting for a paycheck. And you already know the deal, Shaq. Once you start fighting for that paycheck and you're not fighting to be champ anymore, that's when shit goes downhill, because for a fact that Colby Covington has unfinished business with the current champ. I mean, a lot of people have made the argument that Colby might have actually been up 3-1 against the current champ, Kamaru Usman, going into the 5th. And he even wobbled the current champ, Kamaru Usman. But now, like you said, he's training with MMA masters. They're known for their calf kick. They're known for their world-class jiu-jitsu. They got a lot of black belts coming out that gym. So that shows me that, Colby is, he's broadening his horizons. He's expanding. He's adding new elements to his game. So I'm excited to see what this new Colby Covington looks like. And I think that Tyron Woodley only has a puncher's chance, maybe a guillotine chance. He does have a nice guillotine, maybe that. And Colby has been caught in one of those before, but it's just not the same Tyron Woodley. And like we already said at the beginning of the show, man, His head coach said he doesn't have the dog in him anymore. That's not me or Shaq saying it. That's Dean Thomas, like not just his head coach, one of his best friends. So it's like when people that are that close to you are saying that, I mean, what should I be like? No, Dean, that's not true. He does have that dog in him. It's like, no, he
You
doesn't.
know, it's bad when, like, some of T Wood's like teammates and friends are like, well, I'm cheering for T Wood,
Yeah.
but Covington's probably gonna whip his ass.
Like, look, after the Usman fight, since it was the first time we saw that, even though it wasn't the first time, because if you go back to the Rory McDonald fight, but we thought he recovered from the Rory McDonald fight, won the belt, defended it a bunch of times. But after the Usman fight, some of his teammates made excuses for him. Oh, he just had an off night, but there's no way he loses to Gilbert Burns. But then after the Burns fight, they're like, oh, so he really is washed up. And then, if you see someone talking shit about him online, they'll be like, don't do my guy like that. That's the kind of responses they have. It's not going to be responses like, what are you talking about? Woodley's going to win. It's just,
Yeah,
leave my guy alone.
that means they know it's true,
Yeah, listen, as long as Colby doesn't get caught with a guillotine or an overhand right, he's not just going to win this fight. He's going to put up a significant strike record, take him in DraftKings, do the whole bit. I'm very excited to see what Colby Covington does in this fight. And yeah, like I said, T Wood's fighting for the wrong reasons. And just like a little piece of advice for everybody watching, my dad always used to say growing up that you are not a millionaire unless you have $1 million. And what I mean by that, Shaq, is that you can touch $1 million once, but if you blow it all, you're not a millionaire. So T Wood was living a life he couldn't afford to live. And not to get into all that shit, but he's fighting for the wrong reasons. He's fighting for a paycheck. He's not fighting for the love of the game.
Not to mention the other shit we're talking about. That's financially costing as well.
And mentally and emotionally draining too. So, listen, I think T Wood's a nice guy, but the fight game.
I mean, Dan, me and both know he's not a nice guy. You seen him in the hotel, man. Don't front. I mean, look, the guy, he's a cocky son of a bitch, and he doesn't care about his family. I'm just kidding, but yeah, I mean, look, there was every other fighter, even ruthless Robbie Lawler and Eddie Alvarez were out there, kissing babies and shaking hands, man.
Yeah, listen, he's not fighting for the love of the game anymore, and that's the bottom line, and that's why I think he's going to lose Saturday night. Now, Shaq, let's talk about some of these prelims, man, because it just got announced that Meerschaert Bektic is actually taking on Damon the Leech Jackson. This is Damon the Leech Jackson's return to the UFC. So Meerschaert Bektic, he's 13-3. Damon Jackson is 17-3. They don't have odds, but I expect Meerschaert Bektic to be a big favorite here. And this is, like I said, Damon Jackson's second stint in the UFC. The first time it didn't go his way, got choked out by Honey Jason, by Yancy Medeiros, had that close fight with Levan Makishvili. But I felt like he went back to the regional scene, actually got some wins, but man, he took a really brutal loss in PFL to that Russian. Let me check if that's the last fight he had. Okay, so actually he bounced back after the loss. So that's good to see. He got a first round finish after that brutal, devastating loss. So at least he's back on track. Look, Meerschaert Bektic, he's a very talented kid. He's got great grappling. He's extremely strong. It's just that I question the mentality at times and the chin for sure. I mean, Chaskelly knocked him out. Don't look at the record. Watch the fight. And Darren Elkins knocked him out. And he's very chinny. It's very questionable. Josh Emmett knocked him out with a jab. So I don't know, man. I feel like this is actually a tougher fight than Garagori, and I'll tell you why. Because Garagori, he comes from that Latin regional scene where you already know the deal with that scene. Like, you better move to the USA if you're coming from that scene. But at least like Damon Jackson, he's a black belt, trains out of Fortis MMA. It's got the UFC experience, the whole bit. But I still think it's a tough matchup. I'll go with Meerschaert Bektic by decision.
Well, see, I actually think it's the other way. I was actually thinking Garrett Gorey was somewhat live because I think Meerschaert's a USADA victim. I think he's I think his chin is in deep question. And I feel like he's lost a lot of size, like especially these last two fights, man. I don't know, man. I feel like he's looking real slim. Not that same jacked guy that was out here, wrestling dudes, tossing them on their heads. I felt like Garrett Gorey could have possibly touched his chin. I was just worried, obviously, about Garrett Gorey's shit grappling game. But, I feel like, yeah, Damon Jackson, tough guy, but Meerschaert should finish him pretty quickly.
Now, next up in the welterweight division, we got a matchup between Miguel Baeza, he's 9-0, and Jeremiah Wells is 8-2. Currently, they got Miguel Baeza minus 300. The comeback on Jeremiah Wells is plus 250. Yeah, we know exactly who Jeremiah Wells is because he turned down a fight with our boy Jared Nitrain Gooden on the regional scene for very good reason. But hey, he got his UFC opportunity. Look, the kid's a strong wrestler. He's explosive. He trains with Sean Brady. But I mean, when you talk about Miguel Baeza, devastating calf kicks, comes out of that MMA Masters gym, that's responsible for Ricardo Lamas and now, Nico Price and Colby Covington have been training there. And Baeza is also a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He is a very bright prospect. For someone that's had, how many pro fights has Baeza had? Less than 10 pro fights. He's 9-0. For someone with less than 10 pro fights, this is a kid to watch out for. He's athletic. He's well-rounded. He's got the heart. He's got the will, the power. I like Miguel Baeza, and I don't just think he wins this fight, Shaq. I think he knocks out Jeremiah Wells. I think he stuffs his takedowns. I think he makes him pay, and I think he finishes the fight Saturday night, Shaq.
Yeah, I love Miguel Baeza, man. I said he would knock out Matt Brown, and he faced adversity and he came back. He got clipped very, very hard against, if I'm not mistaken, Matt Brown might be first place or second place for most for most KOs in UFC history. So, and to do that at 8-0 was very, very impressive. The calf kicks, he's a black belt on the mat as well. Miguel Baez is the complete package. I'm going to actually go ahead and say he stops Jeremiah Wells so bad that his teammate gets mad, and now he's going to be fighting Sean Brady in his next fight. And that's the fight I want to see, Miguel Baeza versus Sean Brady, two undefeated guys, one from Florida, one from Philly. I feel like that's the next fight after he smokes Brady's teammate, Jeremiah Wells. He's all right, nothing special. I know he had a vicious KO, but that dude, I think it went viral if I'm not mistaken. But that guy was a complete bum that he's fought. And one thing about Jeremiah Wells and Brady in their camp, and I'm a fan of Brady's, but they fight good hand-picked opponents on their local scene. So I feel like he's kind of been a byproduct of that. So I feel like this is going to be his first real test, and he's gonna get hurt.
Now, next up in the flyweight division, we got a matchup between Mayra Bueno Silva, she's 6-1, and Mara Romero Barella is 12-8. Currently, they got Mayra Bueno Silva minus 255. The comeback on Mara Romero Barella is plus 215. Shaq, I got to tell you this, man. So I bet on Marina Moroz to beat Mayra Bueno Silva that last fight. And when I tell you that, I had to sweat every single second of that fight. I'm telling you the truth, man, because Mayra Bueno Silva hit so hard. Listen, the reason I took Marina Moroz was just, the experience mixed in with the fact that it was actually the first event when the pandemic started. You remember Charles Oliveira versus Kevin Lee. So it was the first time that there was no crowd there. And I was thinking that if there was a crowd there, every time Mayra Bueno lands something, the Brazilians are going to, persuade the judges. They're going to go crazy, even if she's throwing out air. But with no crowd there, you can hear the tennis sounds, the ha-ha that Marina Moroz does, and that's going to sway the judges. So that's why I took her there. And, dude, I had to sweat that. I am impressed with Mayra Bueno Silva. I mean, look, got the ninja choke on Contender Series, goes out there in her UFC debut, submits a submission specialist in Jillian Robertson, which one doesn't simply do. And then the last fight, for her first L, no one's exempt from that first L, and I thought she performed admirably, was down the first 2 rounds, goes back there in that 3rd round, almost gets a knockout, which you rarely see. And when Mara Romero Barella, not only does she not belong in the UFC, Shaq, but she's been knocked out 5 times, which is very rare in women's MMA. The only reason she got signed to the UFC, Shaq, is because she beat Milana Dudieva by split decision for the Invicta title. A lot of people even thought Milana Dudieva might have beat her. You remember Milana Dudieva, UFC reject, but she's an Invicta champion. Let's sign her. That's the only reason she got signed. You see, she doesn't belong. And her only real win, look, she beat Kalindra Faria, who went 0-3. But if you look at that Tyler Santos fight and you're like, oh, well, she beat Tyler Santos. Guys, she didn't beat Tyler Santos. Tyler Santos beat herself. I mean, it wasn't like Marella Barella did something really impressive there. It was more so you hear the interview with Tyler Santos after the fact. She's talking about her heart's beating out of her chest. She's got the weight of the world on her shoulders. She's in Brazil for a UFC debut. She was so damn nervous that she could not think, she could not perform. She didn't even throw. And it was still a split decision, Shaq. So again, it wasn't about what Barella did right. It was about what Tyler Santos did wrong. But as you know, the next 3 fights, the truth came out. I mean, look, when Montana De La Rosa puts a striking clinic on you, not a grappling clinic, Shaq, a striking clinic on you, I mean, what else do I have to say? Courtney Casey finished her in the 1st round. Lauren Murphy knocked her out. I think Saturday night in Las Vegas, Nevada, live at the UFC Apex, I think Mayra Bueno Silva is going to knock out Mara Romero Barella.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm gonna say she's gonna knock out Barella unconscious. I feel like, uh, like you said with the Santos fight, not only was Tyler Santos, it was the first fight her mom ever went to. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like she was very nervous, and 1 year later she looked good against Molly McCann. So I feel like you said, Santos beat herself. Sometimes those things happen. Mary Barella didn't really do shit. Like Silas Santos backed up on the fence, and just stood there. It wasn't like Barella, look, Barella, she gets a takedown every fight, so I'll give her that. I mean, I'm sure she'll. Look, I'll say right now, she will probably take down Bueno Silva, but so what? Bueno Silva's shown she's got a game off her back with the arm bars, and look, Marina Moroz has been looking the best she ever had. Marina Moroz beat Mazo, fuck Mazo up pretty bad, and she beat. So look, I think Moroz is trending in the right direction since she moved up to 125, and I feel like. Myra Bueno Silva just has a lot more firepower, calf kicks, the submission game, wants it more coming off that loss. I feel like she's going to stop Myra. Myra Barella has no confidence. She has no chin. She has no commitment. Like you said, when Montana De La Rosa's out here dropping you, like that's a little alarming. You know what I'm saying? I think this is going to be a vicious stoppage. And Courtney Casey, you get the takedown and then you just you quit right off the bat. So, I feel like Mary Barella is a joke. She doesn't belong here. And Myra Bueno is going to get 50 G's on Saturday.
Now, next up in the flyweight division, we got a matchup between Jordan Espinoza, he's 15-7, and David Dvorak is 18-3. Currently, they got a dead pick'em, -110 apiece. So I'm going to say this, Shaq. I think Jordan Espinoza is arguably the fastest guy in the flyweight division. And I think David Dvorak is a pretty damn smart guy. You know what I mean? Like, this is a guy in David Dvorak. He's actually a former chess champion. He's got an 18-3 record in MMA. So I think he's got good fight IQ. I think he's very smart. I think he's opportunistic. It's just that he's kind of outgunned in the speed department. And we've always thought Jordan Espinoza had all this talent. It was just a matter of putting it together. I think he kind of took some of the wrong fights, got caught in a couple opportunistic submissions against Alex Perez and Matt Schnell. It was what it was. But that last fight against De La Rosa, now we can say what we want about De La Rosa, but like, to outstrike him by the margin that he did, like that's what I've been wanting to see from Jordan Espinoza this entire time. And if he can just build off that momentum and come out here, I mean, look, he's faster than David Dvorak. I think he's actually better everywhere. It's just you need to be focused for all 15 minutes here. And if he is, and he has no lapses, I think he's going to win the decision, Shaq.
Yeah, Dvorak can't really say. Like, I don't know how to feel about him because I feel like he's, like you said, just a smart guy. It seems like he's very efficient. Seems like he maybe, I guess, if in comparison to Espinoza, maybe might not make as much mistakes. But at the same time, like, there's really nothing. Like, he doesn't really have much power. Speed is all for Espinoza, experience. All that good stuff. I feel like that's leaning in Espinoza. Only concern with Espinoza is, does he have a ground game? Because, the two fights that he lost, I mean, when he got down on his back, not on for Perez at least, but Perez is about to in a number one contender match, and Schnell, if I'm not mistaken, is a top 10 guy as well. So, definitely can't put Dvorak, but Dvorak's a big flyweight, man. I just don't see, I just think he's average. I feel like he's average or slightly above average at best. Is where I feel like Espinoza could be something if he just, continues to, I know he went to Krause's gym after that Perez fight. Kevin Kroom, the dude that just beat Roosevelt this past weekend, was actually cornering Espinoza for that fight. They seem to hit it off pretty good. I think he's going to corner him as well for this one. So, I think I feel like, I feel like Espinoza should be slightly more of a favorite, but at the same time, David Dvorak, that fight with Bruno Silva, who I actually don't think he belongs in the UFC because, a lot of people don't know is my boy Bruno went to split decision with a guy with one leg, you know what I'm saying? So, I think that I got Jordan Espinosa, more powerful, faster, just more dynamic. But I'm interested to see what happens if Dvorak gets on top of him. I know he has finished a lot of fights in the past, but I'm gonna go Espinosa.
Now, next up in the bantamweight division, we got a matchup between Sarah Alpar, she's 9-4, and Jessica Rose Clark is 9-6. Currently, they got Jessica Rose Clark minus 230. Shaq, the comeback on Sarah Alpar is plus 190. Listen, I don't know how this fight's going to go down, but I just got to say this. You cannot lay minus 230 on Jessica Rose Clark. Look, I like her personality. I think she's cute. I like her fighting style. She came through versus Paige Van Zandt, but it's like she's a 50-50 fighter. She's a journeywoman, and you cannot lay chalk on her. This is a dog or pass situation. I will slightly edge Rose Clark to win a decision, but like you cannot lay it at the betting window is all I got to say.
Yeah, man. Look, Rose Clark, I heard she went to see a therapist, so maybe some of those things. I feel like Rose Clark is one of the fighters where her game, everything is based on that personal life / that mental. You know, I feel like she's very fragile mentally. I know she was coming off the injury before the Kianzad fight. But man, that Kianzad, I know Kianzad's doing her thing as well, but she got absolutely whooped on from start to finish. But I will say she's got a good right hand, and I do think she has better striking skills than Alpar. But for Alpar, man, Alpar, I feel like she's got a big size advantage. Alpar's a thick girl, man. And I feel she's been off for a year, and I feel like there's a chance where Alpar's gotten a lot better, with all the, she's had a whole year to get ready for her UFC debut. So there's a chance. And look, and I want to say something about Alpar, her last two fights. She fought for the LFA title against some chick who I believe will be in the UFC one day. I forget the girl's name, but she's from Panama. And the chick, was super tall, vicious striker, a bunch of KOs. And man, Alpar dealt with it. It was a boring fight, but Alpar dealt with it. It was a very, very tough task. And, when I look at some of Alpar's previous fights, she's come a long way because, I know she lost to Karina Dam, but, Rose Clark also went to split. But Karina Dam's got some wins. Like Karina Dam at one point was something, and I feel like she's come a long way these last two fights. That for the LFA title, man. She's an Oklahoma wrestler, two-time national, two-time high school All-American in high school. So, I feel like, man, she's very live in this fight. I'm actually taking for the win, man. I feel like Rose Clark's a girl that can be very easily deterred. I feel like when things don't go her way, she kind of folds. And let's just be honest here, her two wins are against, a pipsqueak named Paige Van Zandt and Beck Rawlings, who can't. Look, what was her record in the UFC? You know what I'm saying? Those are bare knuckle fighters. You know what I'm saying? So, and then these last two fights, she's 0 for 6 on rounds in those fights. So, and I know it was who's number 1 or number 2, whatever, and Kianzad who's doing her thing. But I think like this line should be a lot closer. I feel like Alpar's a lot stronger, a lot bigger, better wrestling. She's got like a real pressure wrestling game. So she was able to get the finish on Contender Series. So I'm going to take her for the win. I think she's going to look a lot better.
Shaq, I know you're short on time, bro. You got time to do these last 4, or do you just want to give quick picks for it?
I'll do quick picks. I got...
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Just what are the fights?
So Randy Costa,
I'm gonna go
Journey
with
Newsom.
Costa.
Andre Ewell
Rivera.
versus Erwin Rivera. Derek Minner versus
Laramie.
TJ Laramie. Tyson Mann versus Jerome Rivera.
Man, I was thinking Tyson was gonna knock him out, but man, to be honest, Rivera is actually not bad. He's got a lot of activity. That's what probably won him that fight. I know I shat on him that night. He won that decision, but he was a lot more busier. I'll go with Nam, though. Real
quick, before I let you out of here, tell me about this Erwin Rivera over Andre Ewell pick.
I like Ewell. Look, I wouldn't be shocked if Ewell won. He's the rightful favorite. I just don't think he should be a favorite by that margin, considering the fact that I think that he gets hurt to the body in a lot of his fights. He got hurt to the body against Martinez. I still don't know how he won that fight. I thought he lost every single round. And I feel like he kind of runs into a wall and he kind of just gasses out in a lot of these fights. I feel like he gets hurt. When he Renan Barão, a lot of people don't remember that he got hurt to the body right before that. I feel like he might be cutting a lot of weight or something like that, and I feel like he kind of runs out of gas. I know his losses are to very good guys, but Rivera, I know his record is kind of really ugly, but man, I feel like he's turned the corner a lot. I wanted to bet him his debut, a very close fight. He's a guy that kind of struggles with the wrestling, but now he's not going to have to be neither guy's going to have to worry about grappling in this fight. I just think Rivera's better in the late rounds, but it wouldn't shock me if Uhl just had more firepower and hit him with the straight left. I just think Uhl, man, I've never been too impressed with him. I feel like he's very overrated. Feel like his footwork is shaky, his chin shaky, he gets hurt in a lot of his fights. But so we'll see. But I feel like Rivera's more durable. But so yeah.
Shaq, you're the man. Everybody follow Shaq at MMA Genius 05. Shaq, we'll speak soon, bro.
All right, man.
See ya. All right, guys. Now you guys are stuck with me, so I'm gonna break down the remainder of the fight. So next up in the bantamweight division, we got a matchup between Randy Costa, he's 5-1, and Journey Newson is 9-2. Currently, they got Journey Newson minus 135. The comeback on Randy Costa is plus 115. So, man, this is interesting because I was actually at Randy Costa's UFC debut in Atlanta against Brandon Davis, and boy, did he put on a show. I mean, this kid is super exciting. The only issue I have is that he's kind of green. He's only 5-1 as a pro, and I feel like we're going to be seeing these big leaps every single time he fights. It's just I don't think he's actually ever won a fight that's gone past like the second or third minute. So it's kind of worrisome against like Newson, who, even though like Newson, he ain't a top 15 guy, he ain't a top 20 guy or anything like that, but he is pretty experienced. But I do like the fact that Randy Costa, he went to ATT. So like I said, he's going to be making big improvements every single fight, and you're going to be seeing leaps. It's just, is it too much too soon? Because you got to take it easy. You got to take the right fights when you're only 5-1 as a pro. So Journey Newson, he hits very hard. He's gone the full 3-round distance in the UFC against Ricardo Ramos, who's a tough guy. And I like that knockout I saw in that last fight. But man, I feel like, so this is interesting because I feel like Randy Costa ends up projecting to be the better fighter. I think that he ends up being ranked higher. I think he's more talented. I'm just worried that he's kind of green right now in his career. So for that reason, I'm going to take Journey Newson. I feel like he's kind of slightly farther along in terms of the progression. But again, when you see a kid with less than 10 pro fights, every single time they're going to be making these big leaps. So this could be a good show for Randy. I know he's going to come out here and at least put on an entertaining fight. I know that much, but I'm going to slightly lean with Newson here. Now, next up in the bantamweight division, we got a matchup between Andre Uhl, 16-6, and Erwin Rivera is 10-5. Currently, they got Andre Uhl minus 220. The comeback on Erwin Rivera is plus 180. Now, I'll say this. I wouldn't lay the minus 220 on Andre Uhl, because he has had some shaky moments. But, man, I feel like he's got some advantages here. Like, I like this kid, Erwin Rivera. He fights with a lot of heart. He's a tough kid. He's paid his dues on the regional scene, but I feel like Andre Uhl has got the reach advantage. I feel like he's got the output advantage, the experience advantage. And I feel like as long as he doesn't get caught with something big that puts him down, maybe that body shot that Shaq was alluding to, I think he can come out here and outpoint this kid. So I'm going to slightly lean with Andre Uhl to get it done. But at the current price, I wouldn't recommend laying it because, again, he's not the kind of guy you want to lay that kind of chalk on. He's more of a guy that, will take as an underdog shot, against Barao or whatever the case may be. But here against Erwin Rivera, I think he wins the decision. He's the better fighter here. Has a big reach advantage. My boy Jimmy the Drunk says he's got an 8-inch reach advantage. So, yeah, usually those guys end up winning. I think he wins the decision here. Now, next up in the featherweight division, we got a matchup between Derek Minner, he's 24-11, and TJ Laramie is 12-3. Currently, they got TJ Laramie minus 300. The comeback on Derek Minner is plus 250. So all I got to say is if you're laying that chalk on TJ Laramie, be ready for a sweat in that first round because Derek Minner is hell on wheels in that first round. He's got a nasty guillotine. He's very opportunistic with his submissions. It's just that if he does not get that first round submission, historically speaking, he kind of gets discouraged as fights progress. And I was pretty impressed with TJ Laramie on Contender Series, man. I felt like, he showed good control, good composure. He's experienced. He's paid his dues on the regional scene, comes from that TKO scene in Canada. I think he even fought Air Jourdain, Charles Jourdain, who's been doing this thing in the UFC. So I'm excited. This is a highly anticipated debut for TJ Laramie. Now, one of my Canadian listeners, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't TJ Laramie like have a brother that also fights, or am I mistaken? Am I confusing him with someone else? Someone let me know, but I think TJ Laramie gets it done. It's just about composure in the first round. Do not let this guy dangle off your neck, because I mean, he almost got like that guillotine he had on James Krause's kid. What's the kid's name? Grant Dawson. Like, dude, credit to Grant Dawson for escaping, because that shit was locked in. I'll tell you, a lesser opponent would have definitely tapped there, but Grant Dawson handled that accordingly and got out and then dominated the fight. So TJ Laramie's got to be on his P's and Q's, but he's actually never been submitted before, so that's a good thing. So weather this early storm and you win the fight. So I'm gonna go with TJ Laramie to get it done in his UFC debut. Now, last but not least, in the flyweight division, we got a matchup between Tyson Nam, he's 19-11, and Jerome Rivera is 10-2. Currently, they got Tyson Nam minus 170. The comeback on Jerome Rivera is plus 150. So this is another interesting fight for a lot of reasons, because kind of like I was talking about with some of these other guys, Nam's a guy you like to take at dog odds. He's not a guy you really want to lay chalk on, but I do think that he's better than Jerome Rivera. It's just that sometimes when Tyson Nam doesn't get the knockout, he can be outpointed. And that's kind of like the gift and the curse of Tyson Nam's style. He's one of the heaviest hitters in flyweight history. I mean, you guys remember back in the day, the knockout over Eduardo Dantas. You guys remember back in the day, the knockout over Ali Bagautina. And most recently, when he destroyed that kid, Zaruk Adashev, who made his UFC debut, launched him in 20 seconds. So Tyson Nam hits you on the chin, there's a good chance you're going night-night. They're going to have to, bring out the smelling salts and put the flashlight in your eyes. You're going to ask what happened. Jerome Rivera, I'll say this. So what he has going for him, he's huge for flyweight. You don't often see 5'10" flyweight. So he's got that going for him. He's experienced. He's fought some good guys on the regional scene. He's fought UFC guys like Brandon Royval. Now, granted, it only lasted a minute, but still, he's been in there with Royval. Been in there with his kid, Sanchez, who used to fight in the UFC back in the day. But I got to say this, guys. I don't feel like Jerome Rivera. I almost called him Erwin Rivera. I don't feel like Jerome Rivera won his Contender Series fight. And I was actually, hold on a sec. I was actually pretty disgusted that they scored that 30-27 for Jerome Rivera. Like, I felt like this kid, Luis Lazy Boy Rodriguez, clearly won the fight. I felt like he broke him. I felt like he beat him in every area of the game. I mean, could it have been a close fight? Yeah, maybe. But to score 30-27 for Jerome Rivera, that was pretty disgusting. You know what I mean? And to take it a step further, now he's signed to the UFC. So it's one of those things where if he doesn't get caught, it could get sketchy. Maybe he can win on volume. But I think he does get caught. So I'm going to go with Tyson Nam to win this fight via knockout and get on a 2-fight win streak in the UFC. So before I talk about the fight to watch and the fighter to watch, go ahead and, answer some fan questions. Appreciate y'all's time. Let's see what y'all got to say for me. So Moyes says Chandler is in the UFC. Yeah, we've known this for a while. I mean, it just now only got announced. But yeah, long time coming. I'm glad to see it. And now let's see what's up. Now let's see how he stacks against the top 15. Callum says thoughts on Chandler being a backup to Gaethje Khabib. I don't think he'll end up fighting Khabib or Gaethje, because I don't foresee Khabib or Gaethje pulling out of that fight. So it's cool that he got the opportunity. And he's paid his dues in Bellator, multiple time champ, but I don't like I said, I don't foresee Gaethje or Khabib pulling out, man. It would take a serious injury. Even if they got an injury, it would take like a serious injury for them to pull out of a title fight like that. So I don't see it happening. I think he'll probably fight like Ferguson or someone else in the top 15 instead. All right, what else y'all got for me before we get out of here? Let's see. Line Movement says, live from the parking lot. Love the dedication, boys. Thank you very much, Line Movement. Make sure y'all go to linemovement.com. I've actually been producing some awesome content with Line Movement. You can follow them on Twitter at line_movement. Got a betting show with my boy Dan Tom. It's different than the show I have here with Shaq. Just check it out and you'll see what I'm talking about. And also, I actually been doing some written work for them too. So been expanding my horizons. You can check that out at linemovement.com or line_movement on Twitter. What else y'all got for me? My boy Pringle says, appreciate you doing this. Much love from Bangalore. Man, really appreciate the love from Bangalore. Thank you very, very much. That means a lot. We love all our fans from all across the world. So it means a lot that you're taking the time to, come out here and support me, support Shaq, support Half the Battle. And to support it a step further, make sure y'all give this video a like, give me a subscribe, and, you know, retweet this. Let's blow this shit up, man. You know what I mean? This is for you guys. So truly appreciate it. All right. Last call for questions. Anything else you want to know? I'm going to go ahead and do the fight to watch and the fighter to watch. So if y'all got anything else, leave it in the comment box and I'll get to it. But now we got to talk about the fight to watch and the fighter to watch. So I got to ask myself, what is the fight to watch for UFC Vegas 11? And you guys already know what the fight to watch is. It's Donald Cerrone versus Niko Price. I mean, tell me the last time you saw a boring cowboy fight. Tell me the last time you saw a boring Niko Price fight. You can't. I know you can't, because it's never happened before. These are two of the most exciting guys in the history of the sport. You got the guy with the most wins in UFC history, the most finishes, the most fights in Donald Cerrone, the future Hall of Famer, taking on one of the most dangerous and opportunistic guys in Niko Price, who can finish a fight at any moment, no matter how down he is on the scorecard. So for that reason, that is my fight to watch. Now, the question is, who is my fighter to watch? My fighter to watch is Mayra Bueno Silva. Look, it's not often you see women with 5 knockout losses like Barella, and it's not often you see women with 1-punch knockout power like Mayra Bueno Silva. I want to see Mayra Bueno Silva not just come out here and win a decision. I want to see her come out here and get a devastating finish. I want to see her come out here and get a 50K bonus. So for that reason, Mayra Bueno Silva is my fighter to watch. All right, guys. So before I wrap this up, a couple questions. Gregorio says, what do you think about Niko Price money? Like I said, man, I love Niko Price. I think he's fucking awesome. It's just that Niko Price is a guy I'd rather back at dog odds. Now, granted, this is a fight where you can make the dog or pass situation, and you can also make the favorite or pass situation. If you want to make the favorite or pass situation, you talk about how, you know, you talk about Cerrone being washed up. You talk about Niko Price catching him with something. If you want to make the dog or pass situation, you talk about Donald Cerrone being better everywhere except maybe the durability. So that's pretty much what I think. I just don't like laying that slight chalk on Niko Price, who's mostly known for comebacks. I like laying underdog money on him. But I'm not telling you what to do. You're your own man, so I wish you the best. Let's see what else we got. Beach Boss says, Donald needs to hang it up 3 fights ago. I mean, I felt like he performed better against Pettis than he did against, you know, Gaethje and Ferguson and all those other guys. So this Saturday night's going to let us know if he should really hang it up. So we'll see exactly what the deal is there. All right. Last but not least, Niko will come for the finish, dog or not. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you guys know that. That's just facts. Obviously, he's going to come for the finish. It's just that oftentimes they're comeback finishes. And when I'm laying chalk, I want my guy to win the fight start to finish. I don't want to have to rely on a comeback. But again, if you think it's just going to be a cakewalk, go ahead and lay that chalk, man. You know what I mean? If you think it's just going to be some walk in the park, who am I to tell you differently? You know, at the end of the day, look, you guys listen to the show, you want advice and this and that, and that's cool. But I don't have an 100% hit rate. No one does. So you should, at the end of the day, yeah, half the battle, it's entertaining, it's informative, get all the facts from us, but make your own decisions. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much what I think about that. Now, anything else y'all got for me before I get out of here? Matt, I can't answer that question right now. Anything else y'all got? All right. Well, I truly appreciate everybody checking this out. Thank you guys very, very much. Make sure you follow me at Best Fight Picks. You can get my plays at bestfightpicks.com. Subscribe to Half the Battle on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, Spotify, all the places where we are available. I'm going to try to be back on Saturday night for After the Battle. I know I got to be a little bit more consistent on that. So I'm going to do that for sure. And also, like I said, I'm producing some other kind of content for linemovement.com, some written work, some, you know, video pieces, just different stuff than we do here on Half the Battle. So you make sure y'all check them out. Thank you guys again very, very much for the support. Subscribe to Half the Battle right now. Give this video a like. I truly appreciate it. You guys know the deal. Until the next time, let's cash these